All right, let's get back to a story we kind of kicked off, have developed for a while, but Ben got into on Monday. Who was running our, it would seem, very gender reassignment-friendly education policy at the moment, and what groups are making the weird and I would say generally unpopular decisions about exposing young children in state education to some very questionable and dodgy ideas about gender and sexuality. And I'm just going to call it like I see it, and I think most New Zealanders see it that way. What we found was a group called Inside Out, though a registered charity largely funded by the government, following the ideas of a guy called John Money, the man who locked up Janet Frame in an institution and liked to take pictures of brothers having sex. Ben kicked this off, but also investigative journalist Ian Wishart from Investigate magazine's been following these issues and looking at them for a while, and he's got more. He joins us now. Ian, welcome back to the platform. Nice to have you with us, mate.
Thank you, Sean. Thanks for having me.
Look, there's been a real reaction to the stuff we did Monday, but you've been looking at these issues for a while as well. Firstly, is it fair for us, and I think we, having looked at what we'd looked at, said sex education or gender education in schools seems to have been captured by people who are not educationalists but are quite radical trans activists?
Yeah, well, two sides to that coin. The group you're talking about, Inside Out, is certainly fits that bill, and they are. And Ben did a great job on Monday talking about them as the sort of the group that interfaces with schools. But the ideology and the drive behind it is coming from academics inside the education system, queer theory academics, gender studies academics, and so forth, who believe that they need to disrupt children's heteronormative behaviour with on sexuality and gender. So there is a drive academically to very much push this in the schools, and they're just using the trans activists to do it.
Is New Zealand and are New Zealand academics at the centre of this, or are we somehow more involved than other countries?
It's a global issue, but John Money, of course, was a New Zealand academic. He's listed as, regarded as one of the fathers of gender identity theory. He coined the phrase sexual orientation that the world uses now.
Yeah.
And he, of course, was a paedophile who experimented on two twins who eventually killed themselves as a result of his transgender experiments. But and it's interesting too that Ben brought it up on Monday that Inside Out are suggesting that people primary school children should be learning about John Money and taught about how much of a hero he is in terms of the transgender sexual surgery movement. So there are issues with that, but the capture in schools has been incredible, and I've been going through the relationships and sexual education curriculum that the schools have sent out to boards of trustees and principals, and it makes shocking reading.
Okay, well, give us some of the shocking reading, Ian.
Well, I'll take you through it. There's two sections to it. One is for primary schools, one is for secondary schools. I'm just dealing with the primary school one for here. But they make the point that the school culture is very powerful, and schools can decide what is acceptable or not in terms of community values on gender and sexuality.
Yeah.
Schools are, and I quote this, schools are encouraged to question gender stereotypes and assumptions about sexuality, including gender norms, gender binaries, gender stereotypes, and sex norms. For example, the assumption that sex characteristics at birth are always male or female. So schools are being encouraged to question those, or get their children to question those norms. And that's the founding statement of this policy. It's just incredible.
So to question the biological truth that that human beings are either male or female, and there is only a tiny infinitesimal number of people who don't fit that binary narrative, right?
Exactly. And so then you go through the policy document, and one of the things that's interesting about it in Section 3, we're all familiar as parents with the ability to pull our children out of sex education classes at the age of 11 or 12 when they're taught about contraception.
Yeah.
But this policy begins at the age of 5, and there's no provision explicitly in the Act to pull your children out of the parts of the...
What? So hang on, we're asking... Is this policy actually implemented now, or is this a suggestion?
It's been implemented since 2020.
It's been implemented since 2020, and this is education policy that from the age of 5, we encourage kids to think about sex or sexual identity outside the binary norm.
Exactly.
Wow.